something that's kind of under talked about, and these are a lot of the things that when I make videos, I try and find stuff that I don't see on the internet, I don't see people talking about, and I try and talk about those subjects. So today we're going to be talking about developing good muzzle awareness, being aware of where our muzzle is pointed. So this is something that you'll see that's pretty simple to do when you're at the gun range, because you have one way you're supposed to orientate the barrel, and people will be standing at their little bench and there's two walls on either side, so they kind of have to struggle with a rifle to break the 180. We kind of think about muzzle discipline when we go to like ranges is 180 degrees. Whether you're shooting USPSA or any of those stuff, the standard that people always think of is, oh, don't break the 180. Well, I'm here to tell you we live in a 360 degree world. So the whole don't break the 180, yes, it's applicable to the range that you're at and what you're doing, absolutely. But when we talk about true, real muzzle discipline, as it would apply to different environments, maybe tactical environments or self-defense environments, things like that, is we really do live in a 360 degree world. And the rule is don't break the 180. That's not the rule. The rule is don't point your firearm at anything you don't wish to destroy or harm. So this was one that when I was in the Army, I would see a lot of dudes not understand muzzle awareness because they really get in the habit of just carrying the gun like this or being at low ready, and then something walks in front of them and they're like doing weird stuff like this where they feel like the gun has to stay connected to their shoulder, or they're just flagging each other. Rifle's the reason I see people, they don't flag as much, but they get really stiff with a rifle. They're always pointing it like this, and they do a lot of like weird turning movements, like someone walks and they're like, whoa, and they're doing weird, like literally like they're C-3PO with a gun. So we don't want to have that like weird robotic, like, whoa, don't point your muzzle at me with a rifle. And then what I see with handguns a lot is, because it's so short, it's just so easy to wave the muzzle around. Generally when people are trying to manipulate the handgun or do something like that, they're not paying attention where the muzzle's at because it's not as big of an object. So what we're going to talk about are some ways that you can practice muzzle discipline and get really, really good with it, because I think it is a skill that is under-practiced and underappreciated. A couple things I want to show you with a rifle, good ways that you can get used to your muzzle and where it's actually at and where it's actually flagging and all that stuff. It's just some different ways you can break the rifle down. So a lot of times I said, you have a lot of people that do this type thing where they just drop the muzzle straight to the ground. Well, it's not very practical in the sense of, if you have something like walk right in front of you, it's kind of slow and it makes you really take this like weird crumpled up body posture. So there's an alternative to that, is if you're moving and something comes right in front of you, you can actually simply break the rifle out of your shoulder and back center of your chest. And that allows you to basically be flagging what's like 2 feet in front of you. What's nice about this is once I'm here, I've got the rifle nice and collapsed. I can step around whatever is in front of me and drive the rifle back out. We practice this from high ready, from this kind of low ready or low port, whatever you want to call it, position, being able to snap back out on the rifle. The reason that these positions are great is if you're working in an environment with people around you, tight corners, things like that, is you can really break it down super tight to you and then drive it back out, even if it's a long boy like this is 16 inch. So, even if you're dealing with that long of a barrel, you can still kind of break it down and work that way. The next thing I want to talk to you about, as you start to practice these, there's a couple ways you can do it. So let's actually talk about how we can practice doing this. You can take something like this and stand in front of it and simply just move around it. Get used to, coming in, dodging your muzzle around it, doing stuff like this is good practice, just so you can move in front of it, around, come around, ducking your muzzle, getting used to that control of the muzzle and how you want to be able to do that. It's a great way to practice it. All right, the next place that I see people really lose muzzle control, where they either turn into a robot or they have reckless disregard for everything around them, is in movement. You'll see a lot of people when they start running with guns, they'll either keep it in their shoulder and they'll do this, or they'll just move like really slow to the point where it's useless. We want to be able to move to where movement works for us, right? There's a certain amount of movement that's pretty much useless movement. If I'm moving about this pace, it's pretty much useless if I'm just doing this. That's not really movement. So we want to be able to loosen ourselves up and get from point A to point B, but the biggest thing with our muzzle is we want to think about what makes sense as far as where our muzzle is going to point. So if I am at a full sprint, if I am running at a full sprint generally, what's about 2 to 3 feet in front of me is probably nothing because I'm at a full sprint, right? If I'm running full sprint, whatever's in front of me is probably where I'm about to run. Therefore, there's probably not anything that I'm super worried about pointing a gun at. Now, where you do have to be considerate of this is if you're running with someone in front of you. If there's a person in front of you that's running as well, don't just be flagging the back of their feet. Try and, adjust, and you can go off here. But that's the nice thing about running like this is you can kind of rotate your torso, let the gun go one way or the other way, and be more aware of your muzzle. So a couple things, guys, or what I want to talk about is just getting used to where your muzzle is actually at, being able to break it down out of your shoulder, depending on what's going on, whatever you need to do. Being flexible with a rifle. Muzzle awareness, guys. Practice it. Whether it's moving around your house, whatever you have to do, moving through doorways, doing all that stuff, you want to get really, really aware of where your muzzle's at because flat ranges, it's pretty easy to be aware of where we need to put our muzzle. Boom, boom, boom. We're off. Boom, boom, boom. Getting used to being able to be flexible with this rifle so that you don't turn into a robot is really, really important.